Hello Stratters, Nick here playing some Pauper with PauBlade. I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. So opponent deciding on a mulligan, mulligans to 6. So start off, just play a Doomed Traveler. So this hand has the nice property of having a 1-drop followed up by a Squadron Hawk, so that we can get more Squadron Hawks with the first Hawk, since we played a 1-drop. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Got them all. Alright. Get in for our 1 point of damage. So I was saying, sometimes when you don't have a 1-drop and then you play Squadron Hawk on turn 2, you can only get 2 of your Hawks, or you have to, get all 3 and then discard. So opponent plays Bajuka Bog Radiant Fountain, so not entirely sure what we're up against. If it's like a mono black control, or maybe a blue black control. Go ahead and play another Squadron Hawk. Sometimes you want to save your Squadron Hawks to try to combo with the Brainstorms, but sometimes I just don't think it's worthwhile to do that. Even if we draw a Brainstorm, I can still put one Hawk back and search it out with the other Hawk. Alright, so it does seem to be a blue-black, more control-ish deck, given the mana base that we see here. So I'll just get in with all my creatures. Let's see. They might kill something here. If they do, and they don't. I kind of don't want to play into Exclude. In particular with the Guardian of the Guildpact. These are typically some of our better cards in the matchup. So I think I'm going to play Trinket Mage, offer this up in case the opponent has an Exclude. They don't. Yes. What's my best option here? Typically these blue-black decks rely a little bit on the graveyard, so I'm going to get Relic of Progenitus. Okay, so they Doomblade the Trinket Mage. It's fine by me. Go ahead and exile this. You never know with these blue-black decks if they're going to be, creature-based, playing, Mulldrifters and Gurmag Anglers, or if they're going to be the kind that wins the long, long grindy game with Curse of the Bloody Tome. So, good idea to just exile that right away. Typically, no matter what their win conditions are, they will have some sort of graveyard value cards, whether it's Chainer's Edict or Think Twice or Accumulated Knowledge. They'll usually have one of those. And I think I have... Since I have 2 Guardian of the Guildpacts, I'm going to go ahead and play one. And this looks like the Exclude or a Counterspell. Maybe Deprive? It is Deprive. Alright, that's fine by me. I'll just crack this for the F6 value. And maybe just get an island. So I'll probably be a little bit more careful with the second Guardian of the Guildpact. Part of me kind of wants to crack this relic just to try to find a little bit more action. And I think I'm just going to leave it. I have 3 threats in play, 3 power. It's not a ton, but it is something. Okay, I'll make sure that I don't F6 the turn so I can exile this Mystical Teachings. Curious to see what they get. Counterspell. Alright. Exile your teachings. They have a gush. Said they were paying costs. Gush would be a little bit unusual in this deck. What's this? Okay, so the curse is on. They're leaving up counterspell. Given that they're feeling the pressure, I think I'm going to go ahead and cash in this relic so I can hopefully find another threat and try to resolve the Guardian of the Guildpact. Journey, kind of another dead card. They may counter the Thraben Inspector because of, essentially drawing a card with a clue. Looks like they are. It's nice for me because now I get to resolve this Guardian of the Guildpact. And this thing's just a house in a lot of matchups. They could have Agony Warp to deal with it. I'll sacrifice a... I think I want to sacrifice Squadron Hawk, even though this is kind of the creature that you typically want to sacrifice. But kind of one of the ways I could lose this game is if they went Evankar's Justice and then flash back this Chainer's Edict to get the Guardian of the Guildpact. So I would like the Spirit to be left behind after a potential Evankar's Justice, so that I can sacrifice the Spirit to a potential flashback of the Chainer's Edict afterwards. So it's kind of a small thing. Typically you'd want to sacrifice the Doom Traveler to that because it's kind of the creature that's made for it, so to speak. And I don't think I want to extend one of these other Squadron Hawks. We are, I guess, not actually threatening lethal because we knew they had that Radiant Fountain, but they probably also have a removal spell, so I think this is fine. That's a nice one. Get in with all of these. Looks like they don't have anything. Brainstorm. I think that's a good counter spell on my opponent's behalf. They know I've been kind of slow rolling these Squadron Hawks. And again, I think I'm just going to pass here. Should have good shot at lethal. So cards that can help the opponent survive. If they have a Crypt Incursion in their deck, I could exile my creatures and gain them some life. I'm not sure what else they could really have. Pristine Talisman puts them up to 3. They'd have to have something like, again, Agony Warp is a card that they could have. They could go minus power on one of these creatures, minus toughness on the Guardian. Agony Warp's one of the few cards in the format that does kill a Guardian of the Guildpact. So either they... Looks like they might have something. Is this Crypt Incursion? It is the Crypt Incursion. Alright, so that's gained them quite a bit of time. But I think that's one of their few sources of life gain in the deck. And at this point, let's count. So 5. I think I want to play the Squadron Hawk so I can get them on a 3-turn clock. No. Got all our Hawks. So because of the Pristine Talisman and the potential for like a life gain land, I think it's good, and also the potential for a removal spell. I think it's good to have a little bit more power on the board, because the opponent's probably going to go up 1 or 2 life because of the Pristine Talisman. They could have a removal spell, they could have a life gain land. So I think that to do this 3-turn clock like we're hoping for, we need that Squadron Hawk on the battlefield. Seraph of Dawn, not particularly great in this matchup. The lifelink is basically irrelevant since their win condition is to mill us out 2 cards at a time with a curse. What do they got? Teachings. Teachings isn't bad. They got Think Twice. It's not what I would have expected in this situation. I would have expected probably a removal spell. Looks like they found one off the Think Twice. Sure, disfigure on that. That's fine. And I think I will play Seraph of Dawn because it lives through an Evankar's Justice. And I will equip the Guardian with the Flayer Husk, since that's probably the hardest creature to kill. Alright, so opponent concedes. I don't know where they necessarily dead there. 1, 2, 3, plus another 3, plus 2. I think they could have lived. Granted, so they have mana to flashback teachings. I don't know. I guess I don't know what's necessarily in their deck. They might just not have the tools to deal with the Guardian of the Guildpact, and especially once it has the Flayer Husk on it, if their only out is the Agony Warp. So, like I said, Seraphs aren't really for this matchup. I'd rather have these Relic of Progenitus. Sylvok Lifestaff also not really for this matchup. This is more for aggressive decks or mid-range creature mirrors where you want to trade off and get a little bit of value. They're just killing all our stuff and our life total is pretty much irrelevant. We don't really need any of this removal either. I think I'd like these negates. Probably these Kor Sanctifiers, since that attacks their win condition. So if they do like they did that game, they just tap out for one. We have the potential to get it with these cards here. Gives us one slot left, which probably don't really do anything. Could play an Aura Flux to kind of tax the win condition, but I mean, that game they played it early, but it was kind of trying to initiate a race. Typically they play it and they just intend to win. So I think options are Sylvok Lifestaff, Seraph of Dawn, potentially Aura Flux. All the rest of these are pretty poor. Probably just go with the creature. Seems like the best plan. Alright, not a bad hand. Got some kind of sticky value creatures with the Doom Travelers. Relic of Progenitus to harass their graveyard. Those are all pretty good things. And we drew a Thraben Inspector, which is a pretty good draw. Again, a nice value creature. Not sure if there was a particular reason why I played Thraben Inspector over a Doom Traveler there. I guess you could say that like this is an ETB value creature, whereas this is a dies value creature, so I would rather get my value sooner rather than later. I guess that's maybe one reason to think about. So you probably have like a think twice here or something. Nope, nothing. Well, they're hitting their land drops. Let's see if we hit ours. More or less do. Go ahead and make our attacks. Play a Doom Traveler here. Okay, Brainstorm, sure. Brainstorm seems like a unusual choice with the way that this deck is constructed. I haven't seen any Evolving Wilds or Ash Barrens, and those are cards that I think you really need to make the Brainstorms good. I think you can build a blue-black control deck that plays Brainstorm, but I just haven't seen the evidence of it really. And kind of want to save this as a shuffle effect. If I play it, I might as well just basic land cycle for another island, so that I'm really well set up on my mana. Go ahead and do that. I'm going to play a Relic of Progenitus. That resolved. So go after the graveyard. Just make sure to keep it nice and trimmed down. So you've got plenty of pressure in play, and these will create spirits if they die, so pretty resilient to removal. Let's go ahead and crack this clue main phase, just see what we get. Squadron Hawk. I mean, yeah, I'll play it out if they counterspell it. It's medium annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, think twice, so I'm not going to have the mana to counterspell. And let's just get this think twice out of their graveyard right away. I do really like the blue-black control deck. It's probably one of my favorite decks to play in Magic, actually. What is this? Okay. It's just such a very pure control deck. Just counter spells, card draw, removal, minimal win conditions. I think it's just is one of the purest control decks that you can play in Magic. But doesn't seem to be performing incredibly well against the deck that we're playing. We just have all these value creatures. I mean, even if they play an Evenkar's Justice right here, I mean, these both are making spirits. This drew us 3 cards. This drew us 1 card. I mean, it looks like a 4-for-1 on the board, but when you see, all the value we got off it, I don't think it really is. So let's get in with our spirits, and then we'll fire off a Brainstorm and do the Squadron Hawk trick. Hopefully find a land drop. We do. Let's put those guys back. And then we don't really want to draw a ton of cards right now, since we'd have to discard. So take care of this while we can. So I'm gonna Trinket Mage. Probably search up. I could either get another Relic, or I could get a Bonesplitter and really try to bring the beats. I think another Relic seems fine. Really, any pressure is good pressure at this point. And 2 Relics in play will really get their graveyard. And this also, since our hand is so full, we can put some Relics on the board and have kind of additional cards in the bank that aren't actually in our hands. Okay, another Evenkar's Justice. I think that's fine. We have plenty to rebuild with. Let's play Squadron Hawk. Search out the other 2 Hawks. It looks like this game we are going to leverage the full kind of combo with these Squadron Hawks and Brainstorm. So put back a Squadron Hawk and a Kor Sanctifiers. Play a Relic of Progenitus. Exile a card, please. Exile a card, please. I always kind of hate the way that Relic works with the clock on Magic Online, because I'm the one activating the ability, but my opponent's the one that has to make a decision and drain their clock. I feel like it's kind of a crappy thing. I've definitely lost a lot of minutes on Magic Online because my opponent has been relicking me a lot. Yeah, so look, we have 7 cards in hand, 2 kind of virtual cards sitting on the table. You know, a little bit of pressure in play. Our opponent's already used 2 of their sweepers. Can't imagine that they have a ton more. Go ahead and play Thraben Inspector. And I'll crack the clue right away. Ooh, another Thraben Inspector. One of the best draws. And I'll wait to crack this clue. This is teachings. Sure, you can teachings. Echoing Decay is a pretty good card for them to have. Exile the teachings out of their yard. Sure, you can Echoing Decay those Squadron Hawks. Still have 2 threats in play. What do we got here? Sure to relic them on end step. And crack my clue. At this point, I'll probably always try to keep up 1 mana to exile a relic if the need arises. Wonder how many Echoing Decays they have. Maybe I shouldn't be playing another Thraben Inspector. Maybe I should play a Squadron Hawk instead. Thraben Inspectors just draw cards when they enter the battlefield, so it's really tempting to play them. Alright. Sure, you can think twice. Force you to flash it back right away. And then even if they respond to the think twice, remember it's on the stack. Is this Evenkar's Justice with buyback? It is. And this is a good thing to negate. So buyback is only when the spell resolves, remember? So it gets negated, goes to the graveyard. Just make sure to exile it. And this is a good point to slip the Guardian of the Guildpact down into play, I think. Bogging Me makes me think that they have their Exile life gain card here. Sure, you can Mystical Teachings. I mean, that's going to buy them a lot of time, but there's still a lot of stuff that they have to deal with here. Okay, so they gain 21 life, something like that, which is a lot, but it's not insurmountable. At this point, I probably want to play Seagate Oracle, since that lives through another potential Evenkar's Justice, which I think would be the fourth one if they had it. And I'll take a Flayer Husk. Guess I don't really see any reason to play anything else out. This looks like it may be the fourth Evenkar's Justice. Ooh, Gurmag Anglers. They have some removal, or they have, excuse me, some creatures. I don't have much removal, so that could be a problem. Obviously, if we get some flyers down, that helps, and Guardian of the Guildpact is protection from mono-colored, so it doesn't really care. They can't really attack us very well, so I don't know how much it matters that they have this card in play. Play a Seraph of Dawn, and I might as well thin the deck out of a land, and we already have plenty of shuffle effects if we need a shuffle effect for Brainstorm. So what would that be? So at this point, I guess we just want to find an equipment, get it on the Guardian, and just increase the clock as best as we can. Sure, Teachings. Teachings is a lot less good when you don't have the flashback to get a second card out of it. Just very slow. Forbidden Alchemy, that's an interesting one. So I wonder if they're going to use that to try to set up another delve threat. Sure, Relic U. They don't really have great attacks just because we get to attack back for so much. I mean, we have a really easy chump block with the Germ token, and then right. So let's attack in with things that can't be blocked. And at this point, I'd rather keep this kind of chaff here in hand in case we draw a Brainstorm. Sure. And that might be juicy enough to use a relic on. And we do kind of need to find some more action, perhaps. So I'll go ahead and use a relic. Oracle, not bad. So we still have Trinket Mages in the deck, 3 of them. A couple Brainstorms. Pretty good stuff left. Is this the last Evankar's Justice? I feel like that's kind of the card that could maybe kind of get them back into the game. No buyback. Interesting. I wonder if they're gonna try to double edict me. What happens if they have... Well, this gets... maybe lets them attack with the Gurmag Angler, but I mean, I'm not still seems kind of poor because I have lifelink with this angel here. So sure, they can start getting some beats in, but doesn't quite seem worth it. I guess they know that they're going to bounce this Radiant Fountain. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Not a bad draw. Trinket Mage. Yeah, that's a card that they have to counter just because that's going to get a Bonesplitter, and then that would really hamper things. Another counter spell. Yep. So equip here. Probably don't have a 1-mana removal. And I'll play out the Squadron Hawk just in case. No real reason. So that, and pass. So they're still in the racing mode. Maybe they have something to kill my life linker with. As unusual as it may be, I think I might use Mulldrifter as the bait spell and try to resolve this Guardian of the Guildpact as my... kind of spell that I'm actually trying to get resolved. Okay, opponent's seen enough. Well, that was really fun for me. Yeah, I kind of just felt like the whole time there that I was sort of in the control, or not in the control position, but in control of how things were going. Just that all my creatures were cantripping, and the opponent was having a hard time matching up removal, and even when they had sweepers, they were only so good, and I had these Relic of Progenitus that were controlling their graveyard and really hampering their value. That felt like a really good game to me. That's kind of why I like this deck. I think that you have a lot of these really nice attrition tools and a lot of matchups, and can just kind of let the game go long. And even when the game's going long against a deck that likes to go long, like the blue black control deck, you can hang in there. So, well, I really enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. So, thanks for watching, Stratters.